KL Publications presents The Work, How Inquiry Changed My Life by Ryan C. Sanders. Amara had always believed she needed to find love to feel whole. She spent her 20s caught in a cycle of relationships that left her feeling more lost than before. After each breakup, her heart seemed to shatter into smaller and smaller pieces, making her question whether she was truly worthy of love. At 28, she hit rock bottom and began to wonder if something inside her needed to be fixed. That's when she stumbled across Byron Katie's The Work in a late-night search for healing. Little did she know, her journey into self-inquiry world changed her life in unimaginable ways. Amara sat in her tiny apartment, a cozy space filled with books, soft lights, and memories of past relationships. On a quiet Friday, she picked 1,000 Names for Joy, Katie's book on loving what is. The words struck her deeply, and for the first time, she considered that her pain might not come from external events, but from her own unexamined thoughts. The next morning, armed with her journal, she dove into the work. The first question she explored was, what are the beliefs I have about myself and love? She wrote furiously, I'm not enough. I need someone else to make me happy. I'm afraid I'll always be alone. Amara paused. These thoughts had ruled her life unchallenged for years. She knew that each belief needed its own inquiry. She turned to the first one. I'm not enough. The 4 questions of inquiry. As she began to work through the 4 questions of inquiry, she asked herself, is it true? She hesitated. While she always felt not enough, was it an undeniable truth? Can you absolutely know that it's true? She dug deeper, recognizing that there were moments where panting and reading or taking long walks, she felt whole, even joyful. How do you react when you believe that thought? She felt her body tense, her shoulders heavy. Believing she wasn't enough made her settle in relationships where she accepted less than she deserved. Who would you be without that thought? As she envisioned a life without this belief, she felt a strange lightness. She imagined herself confident, exploring life without seeking validation from others. Amara then attempted the turnaround. She tried, I am enough. Repeating it slowly, she began to see evidence for this new belief. Her caring nature, her curiosity, her resilience. For the first time, she saw herself not through the lens of others, but through her own eyes. Uncovering family wounds. With every session of the work, she felt herself peeling back layers of her identity. Memories of childhood came flooding back, particularly her father's frequent absences and her mother's quiet heartbreak. One night while doing the work on the thought, my father should have been there for me, she felt a swell of anger and sadness. But as she moved through the questions, she saw a new perspective. She couldn't know if her father, who had faced his own struggles, had been able to give more. The turnaround, I should have been there for myself, hit hard. She realized that she had spent years waiting for others to fill her emotional void rather than learning to nurture herself. Finding peace and self-love. The more she did the work, the more she noticed a shift within herself. She began to appreciate her own company, savoring the quiet of her apartment, cooking for herself with love, and even laughing at her own quirks. She noticed how often she used to seek affirmation from friends and partners. Now when self-doubt arose, she would gently question it rather than letting it define her day. One afternoon, while walking through the park, Amara found herself smiling. There was no particular reason, no exciting new romance or big event on the horizon. For the first time, she felt whole. She realized she no longer saw love as something she needed from someone else. It was something she could cultivate within. Reconnecting with family. Her transformation extended beyond herself. She began reaching out to her family with compassion rather than resentment. Visiting her mother, She shared her journey, explaining how the work had opened her eyes. Her mother listened, and together they spoke openly about the pain they had shared, especially regarding Amara's father. It was the first time they spoke with such vulnerability and understanding. Amara also reached out to her father, who was now living in another state. They spoke for hours, not so much about the past, but the present. She felt no need to hold him accountable or demand explanations. Instead, she listened, feeling a strange gratitude for the journey that had brought her here. A new world. As weeks turned into months, Amara found herself in a new relationship, but this time it felt different. She didn't enter it searching for wholeness. She brought her wholeness with her. When challenges arose, she applied the work, questioning her assumptions and letting go of judgments. She was no longer the woman who needed someone to feel complete. She was someone who chose to share her joy with another person. Reflecting on her journey, Amara felt a sense of peace she had never known. She realized that the greatest love story was the one she had found within herself. The work had not only helped her understand her mind, but it had also introduced her to a new compassionate way of living. And in that moment, she knew she was finally free. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe.